Right now, somewhere in America, a parent is checking their bank account, wondering how far the next paycheck will stretch. A retiree is counting dollars at the grocery store. A young couple is staring at their bills, asking the same question millions of Americans are asking: who is really in charge and who is being protected? And tonight, a bombshell update connected to the Epstein files is raising that exact question all over again. Because this isn't just about a scandal, a court case, or a headline. It's about trust, it's about power, and it's about whether the system that controls your taxes, your retirement, your health care, and your future is actually working for you, or for someone else entirely. For years, Americans were told the truth would come out, that the files would be opened, that the names would be revealed, that the powerful people connected to Jeffrey Epstein's network would finally be exposed. But every time the story seemed ready to break wide open, something happened. A delay, a sealed document, a court fight, a sudden silence. Now a new development has dropped, and it's sending shockwaves through legal circles, political insiders, and everyday Americans who have been waiting for answers. Because this latest update isn't just another rumor. It involves real filings, real decisions, and real consequences that could reshape the entire story. And the people watching this closely say it could trigger a chain reaction that reaches far beyond the courtroom, into politics, financial markets, and even the policies that affect your wallet. So if you've ever felt like the system plays by a different set of rules for the powerful, this story is about to hit close to home, and what's coming next may explain why this case refuses to disappear. The case that never really ended. Many Americans remember the headlines, but few remember the full timeline. Jeffrey Epstein's story didn't start with his arrest in 2019. It stretched back decades through powerful friendships, private jets, exclusive islands, and connections that reached into politics, finance, and global influence. When Epstein was first investigated years earlier, the outcome stunned the public. A plea deal that critics called unusually lenient, a case that seemed to vanish before it truly began, and a list of powerful names that was whispered about but rarely confirmed. Then came 2019. Epstein was arrested again. The charges were serious, the scrutiny was intense, and suddenly, Americans believed they might finally see the full truth. But then came the moment that changed everything: Epstein's death in federal custody. Overnight, the case shifted from a criminal trial into a maze of civil lawsuits, sealed records, and ongoing investigations. And that's where the files come in. These documents, often called the Epstein files, are believed to contain testimony, flight logs, financial records, and names connected to his network. For years, lawyers, journalists, and victims' advocates have fought to make them public. Why? Because those files may hold answers about who knew what, who was involved, and who may have escaped accountability. And every time a judge considers releasing more information, the stakes rise. Careers, reputations, political futures, financial empires, all potentially on the line. That's why this latest update matters so much, because it suggests the legal battle over those files is entering a new phase, one that could finally push more information into the open. The new development that changed the conversation. The latest update centers on a legal move that insiders are calling a turning point. According to recent court activity, key documents connected to the Epstein network are once again under review, this time with renewed pressure for transparency. What makes this moment different is the timing. Public attention is rising again. Lawmakers are speaking out. Advocacy groups are demanding answers. And the courts are facing renewed calls to release more information to the public. Legal analysts say this shift could lead to additional names, communications, or financial links becoming public. And that possibility alone is enough to send waves through political and financial circles. Because if more information is revealed, it could trigger investigations, hearings, or even new legal actions. And those actions don't just affect individuals, they can influence entire institutions. Think about it. If a major donor, corporate executive, or political figure is tied to new revelations, the ripple effects could reach campaign funding, stock prices, policy decisions, and public trust. And when trust in institutions drops, markets react. policies change, and everyday Americans feel the consequences in their retirement accounts, their mortgage rates, and the cost of living. That's why this isn't just a courtroom story. It's a story that could affect the financial and political environment you live in every day. Why Americans are paying attention again. Across the country, this story is resurfacing at kitchen tables, on talk shows, and in online discussions. Not because people enjoy scandal, but because they want accountability. For many Americans, the Epstein case became a symbol of something bigger, the belief that powerful people sometimes live by different rules. And when that belief spreads, it affects everything, from elections to consumer confidence. People spend less. They invest more cautiously. They question institutions that once felt stable. That uncertainty can ripple through the economy. And when the economy shifts, it shows up in your gas prices, your grocery bill, and your savings account. So when news breaks that more files could be released, it reignites a deeper question. Will the truth finally come out? Because if it does, it could change public trust in major institutions. And trust is the invisible engine that keeps markets, governments, and financial systems running smoothly. Without it, everything feels more uncertain. The legal battle behind the scenes. Behind the headlines, a quiet but intense legal fight has been unfolding. Lawyers representing victims, journalists, and advocacy groups have been pushing for more transparency. On the other side, attorneys for individuals named in documents have argued for privacy and protection. This legal tug-of-war has gone on for years, with courts weighing the public's right to know against personal and legal protections. And every ruling has consequences. When documents are unsealed, the public gains more information, but reputations can be damaged, businesses can suffer, and political careers can collapse, sometimes overnight. That's why these decisions are never simple. Judges must balance justice, privacy, and public interest. But now, with new filings and renewed pressure, it appears the courts may be leaning toward greater disclosure. And if that happens, the next wave of information could reshape the entire narrative. The political fallout could be massive. If new names or connections emerge, the political consequences could be immediate. Campaign donors might withdraw support. Opponents could launch investigations. Congressional hearings could be called. And in an election-driven environment, even a single new revelation could shift public opinion. That means this story isn't just about the past. It could influence future policies that affect taxes, Social Security, healthcare, and economic programs. In other words, it could impact your wallet, because political power shapes financial decisions at the highest levels. And when political power shifts, policies often change with it. The financial world is watching closely. You might not think a legal case would affect your investments, but history shows that scandals involving powerful figures can move markets. When major institutions lose credibility, stocks can drop. When political uncertainty rises, interest rates and investment strategies shift, and that affects retirement accounts, savings, and even job markets. So if new information from the Epstein files leads to investigations or political shakeups, the financial ripple effects could reach everyday Americans. Why the story keeps coming back. One reason this story refuses to fade is simple. It was never fully resolved. The central figure is gone. The criminal trial never happened, and many questions remain unanswered. As long as those questions linger, the public will keep demanding answers, and every new document release or court decision brings the possibility of new revelations. What could happen next? Legal experts say there are a few possible outcomes. More documents could be released in phases. New lawsuits could be filed. Congressional inquiries could be launched, or the courts could slow the process again. But one thing is certain, the pressure for transparency is stronger than it has been in years, and that means the story is far from over. At the end of the day, this isn't just about one man or one case. It's about accountability. It's about whether powerful people face the same consequences as everyone else. Because when the system works fairly, trust grows. And when trust grows, economies stabilize, policies become more predictable, and families can plan their futures with confidence. But when trust breaks down, uncertainty takes over. And uncertainty always hits ordinary Americans the hardest. So, as this bombshell update unfolds, the biggest question isn't just who's in the files. The real question is, will the truth finally change the system that affects your family and your wallet every single day? Stay informed, stay alert, and keep watching, because the next update in this story could arrive at any moment, and it may matter more to your future than you think.